Hi, and welcome to this prenatal yoga class for lower back pain. Now, this video is mainly intended for general lumbar pain in the lower back during your pregnancy, but it can also be used in case of sciatic pain. And then if you suffer from any other conditions, such as, for example, sacroiliac joint pain or severe slip disc syndrome, this might not be the class for you, so just always make sure to check in with your doctor first. Now, before I provide some more general explanation, let's get us settled in our first posture, which will be child posture and which will already help us to take some pressure off the lower back. Now, in pregnancy yoga, we tend to go for a wide-legged child posture, so we have space for the belly. So you just want to open your knees as wide as you feel comfortable, and then you can walk your forearms on the mat. If there's space, you can even place your forehead on the mat. Now, if this is uncomfortable, for example, you have pain in the knees, you could try to place a bolster or a pillow underneath your buttocks. And then if there's not enough space for belly, you can also place a bolster underneath your forehead or your torso to have a bit of extra space. And then if this is still not comfortable for you, you can also try puppy pose by keeping the hips on top of the knees and just stay elevated on your forearms, or maybe even resting your forehead again on the earth. So wherever you are, just make sure you're comfortable here. You're going to feel a nice stretch into the lower back and also to some extent into the inner thighs. And then we're going to take a nice and deep abdominal breath here. So inhaling, letting the belly rise, and exhaling, letting your belly relax. And then also try to notice the effect of your breathing onto the back, especially the lower back. So at the same time we're expanding our abdominal organs with the inhale, we also provide a nice stretch opening through that lower back. So we're basically trying to massage our back with a nice deep breath. And as we are breathing here, it's important just to know that in pregnancy, lower back pain is often caused by a combination of weight gain and bad posture, which not only puts extra pressure on our backs, but also the muscles and nerves surrounding the back, causing muscular pain and strain. And then also there's an increase of hormone relaxin, which is softening the tissues that tend to support your lower back, which can create instability and again leads to pain in that area. And therefore it's not only important that we stretch and stabilize the muscles in the lower back directly, but also the surrounding areas such as the buttocks, the hips and our legs, so that we can find back the overall balance within the body. And that's exactly what we're going to do with our sequence today. So for now, I'm just going to start warming up the wrist with making a few wrist circles to one side and then through the opposite side. And then I also want to stretch through the fingers, warming up the finger joints. And then from there, I'm going to come out of my child posture, bringing my knees together. Taking a deep inhale, lifting the arms overhead, lengthening the spine. And then with the exhale, bringing my hands in front of my heart. And then from there, we want to come to all fours, walking the hands under the shoulders and keeping the knees hip distance apart, stacked under the hips. And then you have any strain in your wrist, you can also make two fists just to protect the wrist. And then it's very important that we inhale in that neutral spine. So maybe you from regular yoga, you know the cat and cow movement where we arch the lower back with the inhale. But in pregnancy yoga, because there's already increase of the weight through the belly, we already tend to arch the lower back too much. So we want to stay in the neutral spine with the inhale. And then with the exhale, we want to start rounding the spine, opening the space in between the shoulder blades and pushing the floor away from you. So we activate through the arms. So each inhale, neutral spine, each exhale, rounding the spine again. And then you just want to flow with the own rhythm of breath. And then with each exhale, you can gently engage your deeper core muscles and your pelvic floor muscles, which in their turn again will support the lower back. So you gently want to tone them with the exhale by drawing in the navel, drawing in your pelvic muscles, squeezing there. Inhale, relaxing, neutral spine. Exhale as you round your spine and engage through your core and pelvic floor muscles. And then let's do a few more rounds like this. Sliding through your breath. And then from there, we're gonna come into our downward dog. So spreading the fingers wide into the mat, lifting the hips up and back. And then you want to keep a nice bend into those knees, especially if the back of the legs are tight, just to protect your lower back. And we want to gently walk one heel after the other into the mat. So we want to gently start warming up the back of the legs, gently stretching the hamstrings, but again, don't overstretch, because then again you can strain the lower back. So it's nothing wrong with keeping a nice bend in the knees. I'm just wiggling the hips, being comfortable, and you want to really focus on giving that length and traction in the lower back. And then I'm just showing if you have wrist issues, you can do the same thing on your forearms. And then from there, you want to walk your feet towards your hands, coming into our standing forward fold. And again, here, just keep a bend into your knees just to start, and just sense the opening you have. You can grab your opposite elbows to get a bit more traction along the back, or you can keep your hands on the mat, whatever is comfortable. And just breathing into the back of the legs. If you feel space, you can gently start stretching out the back of the legs, but keep your belly engaged and draw your navel in just to protect your lower back here. Taking one more deep breath into this pose, which again is opening the back of the legs, opening the hamstrings, and then you want to gently roll yourself up. And then we're going to take some time to work on a correct alignment when we're standing. So I'm going to place my feet just under the hips, and then just showing how we tend to slump with the weight of the belly, which puts pressure on the lower back. So for this, you want to draw on the belly. You can brush your hands into your lower back, creating space, dropping the tailbone down, rolling the shoulders away from the ears, and I'm just flipping my palms to the front so I have a nice opening in the chest. And with each inhale, you focus on lengthening the spine. Each exhale, you're breathing down through the heels. So you have a nice balance onto both feet, and you're standing in a nice and straight position without putting any strain onto your lower back. And just taking one more deep breath here as we're preparing for our next position, which will be our high lunge. So from here, I'm going to step my right leg back, and here you can use a support if you have the wall nearby. And you can open up the legs a bit wider, especially if your belly gets bigger, so you have some extra balance. And then you can again brush the lower back, so dropping the tailbone down, making sure that front knee stays on top or behind the ankle. And then you can either keep your hands on your hips, or with the inhale, lifting the arms overhead, getting a bit of extra length to the spine. You can also place your knees down if it's difficult to keep the balance. And then each inhale, lengthening, exhale if there's space, sinking a bit deeper. And here we're stretching into that back hip. And then stepping our legs wide, coming into triangle posture now. So you want to get your both heels into one line. Your hips are pointing forward. Inhale, arms go parallel. Exhale, hinging from the hips, placing that left hand on your thigh, on your chin bone whenever it reaches. And then you can look up towards that right hand, or if it bothers your neck, you can look down. And then if the legs are tight, you can keep a bend in the knees. And if you want to go deeper, you can add a block and find support on the block. So here we're opening up the side body, which is super healthy again for the lower back, and we're also getting a nice stretch through the legs. So deeply breathing here and bending the knee, coming back out. And then coming to our high lunge on the other side. So now my left leg is back. I'm going to keep the heel up, and again finding the space for the belly, checking your back, maybe keeping the hands on the hips, or again, if you can, lifting the arms overhead, minding that front knee, and then sinking as deep as you feel comfortable with your exhale, and feeling that nice stretch again into that back hip. At the same time, you're strengthening your legs, focusing on your breath. One more deep breath. And then again, stepping the feet flat. Your right leg is 90, left foot 45-degree angle, hips are pointing forward. Inhale, arms go parallel. Exhale, hinging from that right hip. Now and then again, finding what works. No need to go all deep, so find your adjustment on this side, feeling that stretch into your left hip, in the lower back, and through the back of the legs. And just breathing deeply into this side of our triangle posture. Taking one last deep breath. Bending that right knee and coming out. And then from here, I'm gonna come to our yogic squat. So I'm stepping my feet a bit wider than the hips. Toes are pointing outwards. Then deep inhale, arms flow overhead. Exhale, squatting down, sitting in between the heels, and bring your hands in front of your heart. Now, this is not always available for everybody, so it might be that your heels are lifting up, and you can support them underneath a bolster. If there's too much strain for the hips, you can try to place a block under your bolster, and then if it's really uncomfortable, You can come to butterfly pose by sitting on your buttocks, maybe on top of the bolster, and just placing the soles of the feet together as you let your knees drop outward. And then if you're in your end of your pregnancy and your baby is at breech, you should definitely avoid this full posture as it encourages the baby to move down, and that's not what you want if you still want your baby to turn. Now you can take a few deep breaths in whatever posture you will find, as this will gently give traction and opening through the hips, which again will benefit that lower back. So breathing deeply here. Inhale as you lengthen to the spine. And then with the exhale, we're gonna come to sit on the buttocks. And then from there, you wanna come to reindeer pose. Folding my left leg back, getting my thigh more or less in a 90-degree angle, and the front foot stays to the front. Flexing the foot, trying to get your chin bone parallel out in front of you. And then you can either stay seated, and you should feel the stretch into the front as well as the back hip. And if there's space, you can also start to bend forward. Just be very mindful that you don't feel any strain in your lower back, otherwise stay seated. And if this posture is not available for you, you can also try just a seated figure four by stretching out your legs in front of you, and then you can place that right foot onto your left thigh and just staying seated here as you feel that same stretch in that outer right hip. And then you can go as deep as you feel comfortable. If you're in your reindeer pose, I can come on top of my forearms, but again, this is not required. So find out what works for you so you feel a nice stretch through the hips and you're managing to keep that length in the spine. And then holding for a few more breaths, you're particularly working on stretching the hips and also stretching those deep buttocks muscles, which can get tight and which in return again can strain the muscles of our lower back. So taking one more deep breath here, and then gently coming out, whatever posture you might find, coming into a side bend. So keeping that left hand on the mat, reaching the right arm overhead. So again, we're opening up the side body, recreating space on the right side of the belly, the ribs. At the same time, we're keeping that nice opening through the hips, deeply breathing here and coming back out. And then we're coming to a nice open twist. So I'm just dropping my left hand behind my back and looking over my left shoulder, focusing on opening through the upper back. It's very healthy for the blood flow along the spine, just making sure your belly is nice and soft. Inhale, creating that length along the spine as always. And coming out. Inhale, arms roll up, one more stretch, exhale down, and then you just want to change sides. So you want to find your same reindeer posture on the opposite side. So I'm folding back my right leg now to that nice angle, making sure my front foot is flexed, trying to keep that shin bone nice and parallel in front of me, and then either sitting straight or folding forward, and then see what works on this side, making sure, as always, if the spine stays straight, don't round to the upper back, don't put any pressure into your lower back nor into the hips. So you can always try your seated figure four. If this side doesn't work out, just listen to your body. And then once you find your pose, focus on a nice steady breath, breathing into any tightness you might find in your hips. Coming to our last deep breath here. And again, walking out, coming to our side fold now, so the right hand on the mat, left arm overhead. And then enjoying that opening from the left hip, side of the belly, rib cage, armpit, all the way through the top of the fingers. Deeply breathing into the left side, coming out, dropping into your twist. Right hand behind your back, now looking over your right shoulder, keeping the belly nice and soft, chest and open, shoulders relax. Inhale, finding that length. Exhale, easing into the posture. And then coming back out. And then from here, we're going to come to our last posture. We're going to do a supported camel pose to open up the front body, open up the hip flexors once more, and at the same time giving a bit of strength in the arms and the shoulders. So a few ways to approach this. Uncomfortable to sit on your heels, you can keep your buttocks up and just open the back from here. If not, you can start walking your hands behind your back, making sure your fingers are pointing towards your buttocks, rolling the shoulders away from the ears. Keep your chin tucked in so it doesn't bother your neck. And then you just breathe here. If you want to go deeper, you can lift the buttocks up so you're creating more stretch through the front body. At the same time, you're pressing to the hands, strengthening the shoulders, and also getting a nice stretch for the lower back. Just hug in the belly, protecting the lower back. Deeply breathing here. And then gently sitting back down. And then from there, we're going to come to our final relaxation. Grabbing some pillows and bolsters so you can comfortably lay onto the left side, getting that maximum blood flow and just taking time to absorb the effect of the practice, to relax all the muscles. You can keep your hand on your belly or just beside you, whatever feels comfortable, so you can lay still for at least 1 up till 5 or 10 minutes, where you just focus on relaxing your body, relaxing the mind, relaxing the heart, maybe connecting with baby. And then I'm going to leave you here. If you want to reread all the information, just check out the corresponding blog article through the links below, as well as all my other projects I created to support you during your pregnancy. I'm thanking you for watching this video. Namaste.